Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? I am Piglet here once again, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo / Super Famicom / Game Boy Advance buddy forms of Super Mario Advance 2, Super Mario World, if you those of you ever familiar with that particular version. So, anyways, enough about that. So last time, we've actually fully completely done with every single levels in the forms of in World 6, Chocolate Island. And, oh, crap, I don't know, I meant to go back. Oops. Anyway, yeah, today for this episode is the fact that, sorry about a little bit of an awkward quiet going on right here. Today for this episode is the fact that rather than taking on new forms of Valley of Bowser for quite some time, when we're able to actually finish up with everything throughout the majority of the game first, because we are about to be moving on to the forms of one of the special worlds before we move on to the final main world of the game. I'm gonna tell you that much right about now just because, well, usually I'm always gonna save up on the forms of like the last few levels or the last secret special stages before we get into the last main world of the game, which I'll probably suggest by this point. I know it's a little bit of a more of a, well, out of order type of worlds like that, but either way though, let's just go ahead and get started. So, anyways though, so the first special world, as you can see right there, by the forms of that specific scenario, is the fact that we are about to be exploring through Star World. So, technically, in the forms of in Mario Wikipedia, according to what it's usually, as far as the actual world number is, it was actually the 8th world. So either way, yeah, let's get this thing started. So either way, let's get started with Star World 1. So, naturally speaking, there are only 5... Oh, shoot. I did not meant to grab that, but oh well. We'll, come back for that later, because as far as I'm aware, there might be a Cape Feather in this level somewhere. But I digress. So yeah, today was actually forms of the 2nd of December in 2018, so I cannot believe we're almost nearly towards the end of 2018 already. And of course, as you can see right there, we actually access to the secret exit. Now, if you really want to move on to the forms of the next Star World levels, basically you have to acquire the secret exits if you want to able to move on to the next levels and onwards. Especially noticeable, it's very similar to how it does it in, you know, in Chocolate Island 3. That you really need to get the secret exit, and similar to how it does it in Forest of Illusion 3 as well. So yeah, it may be very simple and easy if you manage to figure that out. So, and now let's go back to the actual main level to able to achieve the normal exit. Even though I would able to actually, you know, still able to classify for going after every single exit throughout in this game. But either way, let's just go ahead and just get some, you know, items there. Well, most notably, the Starman and the Cape Feather as a spare for the inventory item. However, there's actually a trick to this, but in forms of able to actually clipping through those destructible blocks, as you can see right there. If you manage to able to actually spin jump while at the same time trying to hop onto Yoshi, and what happens is that if you press the jump button, then you would able to actually clip through most of the blocks. However though, do not overuse that all the time though, because there were a few times though that you might ended up out of bounds, and as a result, then you would easily lose your life. So even then, I suggest you use that wisely. So either way, that's about it for Star World 1. And if you manage to able to claim your normal exit, it just takes you back to the forms of the Star Road. But either way though, we'll not get into that specific point worth noting for. So either way, again, there are only 5 main levels in the Star Road, or the Star World I should say, and basically, you know, in order to actually conclude everything by the forms of this particular world, is that, you know, just have to go for every single secret exits and even normal exits as well. So anyways, so here we go with Star World 2, and as you can see, we are about to be having some swimming going on here. In addition to those really annoying cheap looking enemies right over there, the purple ones especially. Because of that though, you really need to avoid these things at all costs, just in case you really, well, especially noticeable how the fact that, as you can tell by the forms of the beginning portion of the video, is that I still managed to got myself Yoshi with me throughout almost throughout the game actually. But either way though, yeah. So yeah, the secret exit on this level is the fact that the pipers actually leads you to the normal exit, but we need to go down here, and basically if you go all the way to the right, then the keyhole is right there, in addition to with the key itself as well. So yeah, it's not too bad. And especially it's really easy to able to actually just to see that coming, especially on sight. But anyway, now we need to replay that level again, but this time with the normal exit. So, unless if you're able to actually just trying to able to go for 100% completion of the game almost. So, either way though, that's, you know, it's not too difficult or anything. Up until when we get to the forms of Star World 5, and especially noticeable with the forms of you know, the special zone, which we'll get to it in just a moment. But either way though, let's just go ahead and just swim along, and hopefully we don't have as many trial and error situations, unlike any forms of how it does it in Chocolate Island 4, just because I just did not seem to have the best power-up throughout. Of course you can able to actually swim off screen if you want to able to actually completely ignore these fishes as much as you wanted to, but either way, I like the sound of that, because either way, it just makes that so much more easier with this level's case. So, anyways, that concludes Star World 2. So, now we're about to be moving on to the forms of the next level, so, yeah. Again, I do apologize by the forms of my voice is actually going a little bit low at this rate, just because, well, there's not much else I can really say about it. Now, Star World 3 is actually super duper quick. Boom. There you go. Managed to beat it for under 4 seconds. Well, usually under 5 seconds, I should say. But either way, though, this is one of the shortest levels of the game. Even way smaller than the forms of any other levels. But anyway, now let's go back in here again. But this time we're about to be achieving this secret exit. So, and I believe the secret exit is going to be at the very top of the level. And the basic premise for this is that we need to obviously obtain the Lakitu Cloud. And I'm really sorry, Yoshi, but you're gonna have to leave it down here. Oh, I just wish I just need some extra supplies for the forms of, you know, just Yoshi as far as for my companion goes. Anyway, if you manage to able to go all the way up here with the forms of the Lakitu Cloud, and that way you should able to lead you to the secret exit you go. So, that's about it. So, easily one of the shortest levels in the entire game, just because, well, at least in terms of normal exit, and especially the secret exit as well. So, that's pretty interesting to know. Alright, so here we go with the forms of Star World 4, and basically it's going to be filled with the forms of the red paratroopers, and especially some of these occasional different colored paratroopers, or Koopa Troopers I should say. But either way though, this level's not too bad in my opinion, but either way, you just have to be very cautious most of the time, because even then, if you accidentally run into the forms of those Koopa shells and stuff, then, you know, you'll temporarily lose your power-up. So, anyways though, the secret exit is right over there. But you do need to acquire either the Koopa Shell or a Cape Feather if you like to prefer to do that method. And then as soon as you hit that question mark block, it reveals the key onto the keyhole, and then, you know, you get the idea, just take it to the forms of the keyhole itself. So, that's about it, obviously. So either way, let's just go ahead and just get back to this level for one last time, but this time we're gonna have to go for the normal exit now, so, anyway. So, again, as I mentioned to you before, today was actually forms of the 2nd of December in 2018, and, well, quite a few things I want to say about this, actually. It's the fact that, finally, about the forms of Sonic Unleashed for the Xbox 360 backwards compatibility with the Xbox One is now finally been confirmed. So this means that every single Sonic game has been you know, backwards compatibility with the Xbox One. I don't know if Sonic 06... Oh, shoot. Screw you, Koopa Trooper. Screw you. Even though I've accidentally just managed to ram into him like an idiot. But anyway. Yeah, as far as Sonic Unleashed for the 360 coming back onto the forms of the Xbox One, but the forms of the backwards compatibility, well, it's a pretty good pleasure to be able to bring that game back, because especially noticeable that that game is now 10 years old, but either way though, that's just pretty good. So anyway, and of course there's no need for me to be able to actually get an Xbox One still, just because of, I just really can't afford it at the time. Alright, so that's it for that, and let's move on to the forms of the, I would say, the last level in the Star World, and that will have to be Star World 5. So, again, 2 exits, and the one secret exit will able to actually take you to the next portion, or in this case, the next special world of the game, but either way, we'll get to that. So from that note, let's go ahead and get started with the forms of course, the secret exit first. So the secret exit on this level, excuse me, of course we need to able to actually activate the snake block first, and get a good running start with the what do I say, P acorn? I keep on thinking of New Super Mario Bros. U for some reason. Basically, you just have to fly with your cape feather, and also, if you couldn't tell by the forms of those solid blocks, it's actually now become transparent. This means is that, you need to acquire to able to actually activate every single, switch palaces before you actually access to this, the secret exit, because if not, then you have to able to actually go back and find your way to able to actually get yourselves this, these big switch palaces. So either way, it's not too bad though, especially noticeable how the fact that if you manage to get yourselves a good running start, even by the forms of the snake block sequence, and then if you've done so, then you would able to actually make your way from here. So, naturally speaking, that, you just have to use the cape feather in order to actually just reach from here. So, yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. But of course, I'm not going to be flying up there for now, because we are about to be going down here, and, well, do some, just carrying it. There's something also introduced in the forms of this game in particular, is the introduction to these baby Yoshis, which, before when New Super Mario Bros. U / New Super Luigi U and New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe actually able to actually reintroduce them, but either way, they do have their own different abilities. But in this game, they don't do much other than the fact that if you manage to carry the baby Yoshi around in any level, if you manage to get closer to the forms of the actual enemy, you're able to actually just gobble them, which either way, if you manage to eat about 5 enemies, it grows into the forms of the actual main Yoshi. So, and as you can see, I've managed to get myself my different color variation of Yoshi, which means I've got the yellow color of Yoshi. And, that's pretty cool, all in all, and as you can see, I've managed to, exit out the Star Worlds, which actually access to the forms of the true final level in the game, which we're probably not going to do that just yet, though, at least as far as I've noticing that, because, well, it's a bit too early to be able to actually just to deal with that. So anyways, yeah, that's about it for, the Star World. It's actually kind of, challenging most of the time, but either way, it's not too difficult or anything, until the next world we're about to be entering for, and that will have to be, well, as soon as we're able to actually just, backtrack for a little bit, especially I need to keep on grinding those power-ups, as you can see right there. And now we can able to actually entering another portion of the Star Road, which leads us to the Special Zone. And as you can see on the top portion of this little special lights letters, is the fact that it actually represents the Super Nintendo logo and the Super Famicom as well. So anyways though, the first level we have is Nalia, which appears to be a first Special Zone world. So, amazing. Few have made it this far. Beyond lies the Special Zone are completed, and you can explore a strange new world. So, okay, that could be something worth mentioning until whenever we can fully accomplish with this world. Even another, yeah. I'm quite surprised that we're almost nearly done with this particular game so far, even though it might be a little bit longer than the forms of the Super Mario Bros. 3 game, well, despite the fact that, well, it did have like 9 worlds in total, which I'm gonna point things out right away. So, this is generally speaking by the forms of the Special Zone, usually as far as the number related world, this appears to be the 9th world, just because, well, this world is going to be tough, especially noticeable when we get to the second level in this world. Because of that, though, you probably know what I'm talking about here. So, anyways, though, yeah, just double checking to see what's beyond here. But if you didn't grab these little dinosaur coins, basically that particular dinosaur coin will pop up if you manage to able to actually just to see that specific spots if you see that little white pipe. But obviously, I've already collected them all, so even then, no, there's no point for me to able to double check on that. So, Anyways though, so that's Gnolio, and you know, very simple. I think this is one of the easiest levels in the special zone, in as far as I'm aware for that. So anyways though, but that doesn't even compare to the forms of the second level in special zone, which is perhaps one of the most difficult levels in the entire game, Tubular. What's so tough about this level is the fact that, well, the first part is not too bad, but the majority of the forms of this level, as far as this level's gimmick goes, you have to rely on the P-Balloon. And the thing is about the P-Balloon though, is the fact that, again, if you get hit by the forms of any enemy contact, and especially noticeable with too many projectiles at you, the P-Balloon doesn't usually retain the forms of a 2 damage output or something like that. Well, apart from the fact that, well, this level is going to be filled with charging chucks, and especially noticeable with these little plant-looking enemies, and even don't get me started by the forms of the charging chucks with these little, I would say rugby ball projectiles, because these are the worst sections, which either way, as long as you're able to actually navigate from there, then you would be fine, but Jesus Christ, whenever I play this on my own time, on my Nintendo Wii Virtual Console version of the game, I died so many times on that level just because of this stupid charging chuck section, so, but I digress. So yeah, that's Tubular, easily one of the most difficult levels in the entire game, at least in my opinion though anyway. So now that's it for that, and let's move on to the next level, which is this level right here. This level is known as Way Cool, and obviously in this level is the fact that this particular, the actual emphasis on the forms of this level in particular is the fact that we need to ride onto that specific platform at all times, and then there are occasional off and on switches, which either way, if you manage to turn the switches on or off, sometimes it'll just alternate between these different pathways. By the way, if you're Mario alone, basically you have to go for this normal pathway, but if you manage to grab the Yoshi by the forms of the hidden area and the forms of that particular level, much like in the forms of Cheese Bridge area, basically what happens is the fact that in this level's case, you're able to actually access the forms of the bonus area, and just like in the forms of Cheese Bridge area, if you somehow leave this bonus area like I was going to be doing right now, it automatically able to finish the level for you, so that's pretty nice, but it can be pretty cheating in some areas. But either way, let's just move on to the next level in the special zone. Awesome! It's time to be awesome! Oh, sorry about that. I keep on thinking of that song from My Little Pony the Movie 2017 version. I think it's one of the songs I always gets that into my head. But anyway, awesome, especially noticeable with the forms of the awesome level as far as it seems. It's basically an ice-themed level, and as far as the result from that, much like in the forms of Donut Secret 1, well, in this case, Donut Secret 2, I'm presuming, well, it's gonna be ice, slippery ice physics, all over the place, and, to make matters even much more trickier is the fact that now you have to put up with the forms of these narrow paths, and especially noticeable with these very, very, strict timing. Well, not so much strict, but just by the forms of how the fact that, if you manage to mess things up, well, speaking of such, those special levels does not contain checkpoints, because either way, if you somehow mess up throughout the majority of the level, that is back to the beginning of the level for you. So, just want to point things out. So yeah, awesome, it's not too bad as far as the actual level goes, but you have to put up with the ice physics at one point or another. So anyways though, let's move on to the 5th level in the forms of the special zone, and that is the forms of Groovy. And what's so unique about this level though is the fact that this level is actually a throwback to the forms of the title screen sequences in the forms of the Super Mario World title screen, which is pretty cool if you ask me, which either way, I just wish if the new Super Mario Bros. Game should have been like that, like the forms of the levels based off from the title screens or title sequences. That should be pretty a good deal, which either way, yeah. So, obviously you got these familiar enemies ever since, in the forms of previously. Especially noticeable if you're familiar with the beginning portion of the level, just because of, a reference to the forms of a title sequence of, the Super Mario World title screen. So yeah, that's pretty cool of the actual main level itself. Of course, charging trucks is still around, which, Apparently, though, they were there at the very end of the level, at least. So, anyways, let's go ahead and just grind for some more extra lives. Well, usually it's kind of not worth grinding extra lives at this race, just because, as you can tell, that I'm still at over 100. So, not much to tell from this point. So another thing is worth pointing out is the fact that recently during today, I've managed to able to see Wreck-It Ralph 2, or in this case, Ralph Breaks the Internet, as far as the film's title says. Actually, I'll get to know more on that later, but from now on though, let's move on to the 6th level in the forms of the special zone, Mondo. And what's different about this is the fact that, well, this level sort of feels more likely a water-themed level, just like in the forms of how it does it in, in Star Wars 2, except, well, the biggest difference is here is the fact that the water itself will able to actually start, desynced, or in this case, just keep on rising it and just descending it at the same time. Which, either way though, it starts rising up at few seconds notice, and sometimes it will able to disintegrate it, but even then, it's alright, but it can be very tricky sometimes, especially noticeable how the fact that these cheeps can really throws me off at one point, which is especially apparent whenever you're trying to able to, like, trying to swim higher enough at one form or another. Sometimes you're easily gonna get yourselves hit a lot by the forms of these cheeps, not to mention. But either way, though, that's besides the point. And, yeah, whenever I watched Ralph Breaks the Internet on the forms of today's day, I actually do really enjoyed it. Even, you know how the fact that, oh, you gotta be kidding me. I think it's totally my fault for that little jumping momentum error, but either way. Anyway, I guess I'll explain more about that film. Well, I'm probably not gonna spoil the ending of the film, just because, well, I just don't want to spoil for you guys, because even then I just want to let you guys see it for yourself. And even then, I did really enjoy the film. Like, everything about the, I do like the first one, then I do like it even more by the forms of the second installment of the forms of the Wreck-It Ralph film series. Well, usually that's as far as you guys should already know about this at this rate. So, anyways though, so let's move on to the next level in the special zone, and that is the forms of Outrageous. So, some people might actually consider this to be one of the more toughest levels in the entirety of the game. Well, I will admit though, I might sort of disagree on that one, but either way though, as long as you get yourselves a Cape Feather with you, then you might as well have yourselves a comfortable time on this level in particular. But, one thing in mind, oh shoot, I lost my Yoshi. Oh god, I have to deal without him. Oh, that stinks. Anyway. So, yeah, as far as this level goes, it feels kind of similar to how it does it. It kind of reminds me of that one level, but the forms of in, let's just say in, Dark World level, in the forms of in Super Mario Bros. 3, in the forms of, the level, World Age-1, that how the fact that we're going to be introducing to ourselves the Bill Canyons, or Bill Blasters as a result. It's gonna be filled with them all over the place in this level, and screw you, enemies over there, including those bullet bills as well, and that pretty much does it by the forms of Outrageous. So, but either way though, still the Cape Feather do really rocks, even by a long shot. So anyways though, let's move on to the final level in the forms of in a special zone, and that will have to be Funky. And what's so funky about that? Well, it's just pretty much just a 200 seconds time limit, first of all, and second of all, by the way, with these little fruits, these little green fruits, apparently, according to the forms of researching on it, it appears to be a fruit, or a time fruit, which means that with the green fruits that Yoshi has been ate, this means you'll add up to your 20 seconds timer, which either way, that could be very helpful though, especially if you manage to able to claim Yoshi on your side, and then as a result, it just makes the level a little bit more easier with the forms if you don't have to worry about the timer system. But anyways, oh yeah, I've got my winged Yoshi because of, the blue shell that I just... Although, you can't hold it for too long though, because obviously, since you actually saw, when Yoshi almost trying to swallow up the shell, basically, it'll manage to able to let that ability to go away. So either way, that's all I can really tell. Oh, these Cape Koopas, they're really trying to outright against me. Ever since any forms of in, Donut Plains level. But anyways, and also we actually... No! Oh, that... Ugh. Oh, that was really bad. Oh, great. I'm hoping there might be a power-up in here. Thank you. As long as I can able to take my invincibility frames, I should be alright. There's no point for getting that question mark block. And boom, there goes that. Screw that coin, and we get ourselves a special message at the very end. You are a super player! Get it? Because that's the forms of the pawn of the Super Nintendo. So, there you go. We actually wrap things up with the forms of the special zone. So, wow, looks like we only done two full worlds in one video this time around. So yeah, that's pretty swell. Just because of how the fact that some of these levels in the forms of the special worlds can roughly take you about 10 minutes each. So once you've completed by the forms of the special zone, you probably realize that the forms of the Dinosaur Island or the Dinosaur Land has been changed up color slightly, which either way, this means they are both Yoshi's Island and Donut Plains are in a pink color. Well, when you get to the actual main levels, it doesn't really change that much, other than when we get to the later levels that in the forms of Valley of Bowser, that you probably realize about the fact that most of the actual levels will start to change a little bit, but even then, we'll not get into ahead of ourselves. So yeah, this is what the Star Wars looks like if you manage to accomplish the special zone. So yeah, everything else is pretty different around here. So either way, we got ourselves these green bridges, and if we go into the forms of Vanilla Dawn, it almost feels a bit somewhat of a chocolatey version of that particular world, but either way, it's just a cosmetic change. So yeah, that's pretty cool stuff. And again, kinda wish if it does that in the forms of the new Super Mario Bros. Series, but that's besides the point. And as you can see, the Forest of Illusion is now in an autumn setting, which no longer have to be the spring, vibrant looking stuff. And Chocolate Island is now transforming into green, a variation. Even then, I could have called it like a mint island, just because, well, with chocolate with mint, that makes it a little bit more obvious. And the Valley of Bowser is now in a brown sort of color. But anyways though, that's about it for some of these changes with the forms of the original color and the special zone color, but either way, yeah. So, we're gonna have to end things off here, I'm afraid, guys, so join me next time on Let's Play Super Mario World, is that we are moving on to Valley of Bowser, the final main world of the game, so see you guys then.